Hello, 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 everybody. It's your boy, Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, here today with a Xenoblade 3 video, because I noticed a little something. By the way, this video will have spoilers for the finale of this game, so if you haven't gotten there yet, you might want to tap out right now. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so, I was reading the Ask the Developer interview for Xenoblade 3, Volume 6. I'll have a link in the description down below to it on Nintendo's website. And as I was reading that, something kind of, sparked in my brain. Spark! They were talking about the Ouroboros system, the Interlink system, and how they wanted to kind of symbolize the main theme of the game of two foreign things becoming one, to paraphrase. And then I realized something. Wait a minute. The Ouroboros interlink mechanic. Where have I seen the two things becoming one and then having to separate after a time? Because if they didn't, they would self-destruct. Oh, wait a minute. That's the plot of Xenoblade 3. Let me just show you. We interlink right now. We interlink, so you have one character from Xenoblade 2, then the other one from Xenoblade 1. They form into the interlink, right? In fact, I can show you through the menu. They form into the interlink, but then after a period of time, you get that overheat trigger that forces you out of the Ouroboros form back into two separate entities. I realized, hey, that's essentially the plot of Xenoblade 3 when you think about it. Where you had these two separate entities with each individual world from Xenoblade 1 and the other from Xenoblade 2. They tried to fuse and become one, which is how we got Ionios. Well, I'm skipping a step with Z creating Ionios, but in the Perpetual now, but you get the rough idea. Where we get the Perpetual now, Ionios, where both worlds have been almost fused into one. But nothing lasts forever. You have the annihilation effects, which represent the overheat mechanic in this case. And eventually, the world itself would essentially self-destruct. So to prevent that from happening, the two worlds, the two quote-unquote foreign beings, have to separate from one another for their own survival. And that's kind of how Xenoblade 3 ends. We activate Origin, and it sends both worlds on their way, but it separates the Agnes and the Keves people from one another, despite the fact, hey, they kind of like being with each other. And you're like, you know what? That's a really interesting way to incorporate gameplay into your story. Because the gameplay mechanic foreshadowed the entire, essentially, main narrative arc of the game. I thought that was very neat. And I love it when games are able to incorporate the gameplay into the overall theme and messaging of the story. I always really like how they're able to do that. But there's another thing to it. When they separate, right? And at the end, because of the overheat, you have to get out of the interlink. But it's not permanent. And eventually, you'll be able to do another interlink. So I wonder if there's a little bit of foreshadowing there with a possible Xenoblade 3 DLC, maybe 4. I am working on that video, which is why I was reading the Ask the Developer in the first place. But then they brought up the Ouroboros mechanic. And I'm just like, you know what, that's a very interesting perspective. And I always love it when they're able to combine, like I said before, the narrative themes and arcs of the story and the storytelling into the gameplay experience. I just thought it was very neat. It doesn't like make or break the story in any way. It's just one of those small things where when you notice it, you gain an appreciation for how good at story writing Monolith really are. Yeah, it's like this is gonna be a short video, but I just kind of like wanted to say that and put that little tidbit out there. The more and more I think about Xenoblade 3, the more things just like kind of almost slide together as if they're creating a whole puzzle. There's many different little things that were going on at play here with the story, with the theme, with the message of the game that would directly set up front, but when you view them, it kind of helps put the entire game in a new light. And I love games that do this, right? I love games that make you think about them after you beat it. After you put the game down, you think about it, and you grow an even more fonder appreciation for what you experienced. I love it when a game is able to do that, and I got a feeling there's going to be many more moments in time like this for me with Xenoblade 3. Because ever since I beat the game, ever since I like processed the ending and all that, my opinion of the game has only gone up. Like, I have so many things I just want to talk about with this game and how brilliantly designed that I think it is. I would say it's a once-in-a-generation type of game, but we had Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 1. Xenoblade as a series is just built different. It's such a good... It's one of my favorite game series of all time. And again, it's like, just because the Ouroboros Interlink mechanic kind of foreshadowed or tied into the overall narrative arc of the game, that doesn't make it good. It's good because the story itself was really good. And then you look back on it, and you realize, hey, that was a pretty interesting way that they tied that into the game. And you just get an appreciation for it. It's one of the things that just... It makes me happy that I always try and look a little bit deeper than the surface level for a lot of these games. Because it's a lot of times like this where I fully believe they intended it, but even if they didn't, like, death of the author is the birth of the reader. And stuff like that, it just makes you appreciate the overall experience just a little bit more, and how well polished and how well crafted the game and the game series really is as a whole. So yeah, I just wanted to make this little video. Let me know in the comments down below any other thing that you may have noticed about the game that you think people haven't. Or, if you can't come up with anything, or if you just want to, like, you do you. What is the thing that you have either thought of or heard about that made you appreciate Xenoblade 3 even more, or Xenoblade as a series? Let me know. And while you're down there in the comments down below, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe out, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. I got some work to do before the DLC lands. You feel me?